Well, with that familiar theme song, that means we go out to the other coast of the United States, out to Hollywood, USA, and Michael Snyder telling us all about the new movies. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Alex. Hey, everybody, and I hope you're enjoying the brisk weather wherever it happens to be in your neck of the woods. We're even getting it here in Los Angeles this weekend. October's with us, and movies are as well, and we've got some horror things coming up later in the month, but a different kind of horror is our first movie, Venom. And let me say, I'm a big comic book fan, so bear with me. There are quite a few laughs in Venom, whether intentional or not. And I can imagine it on the midnight movie circuit like Rocky Horror at some point in the future. But as Marvel superhero movies go in this century, it's kind of a sloppy mess. Even with a pretty gung-ho performance by Tom Hardy as bad boy jerk video journalist Eddie Brock, who is our anti-hero in Venom. He eventually gets connected to an alien symbiote that gives him all these amazing powers and creates a dual personality situation, which is the crux of the film. I just want to say this movie is only slightly better than the last Fantastic Four reboot, which was another Marvel-derived movie done by a studio that had licensed some of the company's significant characters before the rise of Marvel Studios' independent, distributed by Disney, well-wrought, wildly successful, and interconnected multi-hero movies. So, there's a caveat here. Venom is a character developed as part of Spider-Man's comic book canon and a villain-turned-anti-hero, and that character is controlled by Sony Pictures as part of that studio's decade-plus deal with Marvel for the rights to Spider-Man and most of the intellectual property connected to Spidey. And even though a recent negotiation made Spider-Man himself and some of his closest associates a part of Marvel's greater cinematic continuity, many supporting characters are still in Sony's control, with some but not total Marvel input.
Okay, so let's quit talking about business here and just get down to the movie.
It is the point, because Marvel's input is significant here. Sony wants to take advantage of these creations by doing spin-off movies that, at least in this case, have little to do with Spider-Man, and the connection's missed. They rejigger the story to make Venom a standalone, and it might have worked with a smarter script or with Marvel's magic making and quality control in play, but here it's no dice. There's a female lead, a romantic role ostensibly played by Michelle Williams, who gives him a little tragic romance. Riz Ahmed is the villain. Jenny Slate, it's got a solid supporting cast. It just didn't work. Directed by Ruben Fleischer. I really can't recommend Venom, except, maybe if you're bored on a weekend and it's running on home video in some capacity. Okay, the fourth version of A Star is Born, the tragedy-tinged showbiz tale of a male superstar on the decline and would-be female star who he falls for, mentors, and who eventually surpasses him. It's pretty darn good. Updated in some ways for the 21st century. Here, the male lead, who was an actor in the first two versions, and a rock star in the misbegotten third, which, by the way, starred Chris Christopherson as the rock star and Barbara Streisand as the wannabe rock star, I guess. Again, we have a rocker, and here he's an Eddie Vedder-style singer-songwriter with a little country tinge, played by Bradley Cooper, who also directed and co-wrote the script. But it's Cooper's co-star who's the big deal here, Lady Gaga, and she impressed the hell out of me here. She's done a little acting before, so I'm not totally surprised. And it's no surprise that the girl is a natural, vivid, believable actress. She's appealing, she's vulnerable, and when it's called for, she's potent. And as a singer, oh my God, she rips the roof off the place. Live and in person, on record, and certainly in this film. And in fact, at times, I have to tell you, she reminded me of Giulietta Messina, the wife of Federico Fellini, who played this kind of waif-like, slightly homely, but really adorable character all the time. And that's how Lady Gaga comes off here. This has a strong first half, which moves into the more melodramatic and hoary side of the original story. I feel, if you're going to remake this, whoever's doing it was compelled to do that. But still, A Star is Born's star turn by Gaga carries you through to the hyper-emotional end. She sells every second she's on screen, and she proves, again, that a good weepy is timeless. So that's pretty solid. Let's go to a real clunker to wrap things up for this weekend's openings. Loving Pablo. And, you know, I did not love Pablo. It's basically the story of the rise and fall of drug lord Pablo Escobar, here played by Javier Bardem, and his love affair with, I guess, a Colombian TV star, a telejournalist by the name of Virginia Vallejo, here played by Penelope Cruz. This is a lot of talent in those two people. Very charismatic leads. And it's a volatile and compelling subject. I mean, it's the life and the misdeeds of a drug kingpin, politician, icon, Pablo. But it just trundles along. It checks off the crime biography boxes and renders the love affair between Escobar and Vallejo kind of soapy and mundane. And the dialogue, whether in Spanish or English, had me rolling my eyes at times. It really is like an overheated telenovela with guns, lots and lots of guns. It's directed and written by Fernando León de Aranoa, but I don't care. It just really didn't work for me whatsoever. Quickly, because we were off last week, I want to recommend The Old Man and the Gun, which is a true story of a guy named Forrest Tucker, which was also a pretty well-known character actor's name, here played by Robert Redford. And he's an older guy who was a lifelong bank robber and actually got away from San Quentin at 70 and did a whole bunch of robberies, and also caught people in his charismatic cloud. And people just took to the guy. Really nicely played by Redford. The detective on his tail is played by Casey Affleck, and he gets involved with a woman played by Sissy Spacek, and it's a pretty charming film. And if you get a chance to see the Joan Jett documentary Bad Reputation, you can stream it on video. It's also quite an entertaining story and a pretty well told tale of the rise of one of the original female rock and rollers.
Yeah, good. Okay. You know, the only thing I have is, I just wanted to mention it because it got such bad reaction. I watched Solo, which is the Han Solo film that they did in their Star Wars Blitz now. And I guess I went into it with no expectations and found it okay.
Oh, it's definitely okay. It's Ron Howard. He's a populist movie maker who knows how to make a kind of charming, engaging, entertaining film. It moves well. I don't know what people's caveats were. How do you, create a story, a backstory to someone as idiosyncratic as a Harrison Ford character?
Yeah, but I think they did it very nicely, and I think everybody in it, all concerned, did a good job. I was just amazed because I went into it with low expectations and was pleasantly surprised.
Now, I had fun watching it. I just didn't think it was great. I did have fun watching it. And I had a problem with the idea of, like I said, going into this guy's backstory and having to cast someone who does, whether he likes it or not, somewhat of a Harrison Ford impression. But I'm on board with you. Yeah. I would recommend it to any Star Wars fan to watch and enjoy.
Okay, well, that's pretty much it. Why don't you tell them where they can find you?
I am on Twitter at Culture Blaster, and you can hear myself with Alex on the Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page, and of course on GABNet.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Michael. See you next week. That's it for this week's edition of the movie reviews. So stay tuned if you're listening to us 24/7 for more GABNet coming right up, or click on the show right below this one.